Welcome to Spoil Me Nisi. It's me Nisi here, and I hope that you're all doing very well. So today was a pretty big day on Starz. Today we had the season finale of BMX season 1, and then we had the season's premiere of season 2 of Power Book 2 Ghost. So today in this video, I would like to give my reaction to the season finale of BMX. So, yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So if you haven't already had the chance to see this episode, spoiler alert, this video is going to be full of spoilers. So just getting that out the way. So let's get into it. So first I want to talk about Lamar. So this episode was really dope because Lamar pretty much, got what was coming to him. He was playing a reckless game, causing a lot of trouble in the world, and hey, you live by the sword, you die by it. I was just very surprised that it was Meech that did it. I don't know why, but I just kind of thought that my assumption was that it was going to be Tin that offed Lamar, or it was going to be Mickey. I thought it was going to be Tin just because of what he did to Slick, and because Meech and Tin had set up an arrangement where Tin would pretty much do the deed and off Lamar. So and then I thought it was going to be Mickey, just because he was in love with Kato, and maybe that would have been his way of saving his friend and his girl. So I was surprised that we saw Meech off Lamar. This scene did make me kind of think, because one, if you guys noticed, this is the first scene in the whole season where we saw Meech actually shed blood, kill somebody. This is the first time we've seen Meech do something that was like really violent in the show. Don't get me wrong, he's ruffled up some feathers, like beat up some people, pistol whipped them, which is still pretty bad, but not as bad as taking a life. So I was actually kind of surprised to see that, because I don't know, Meech just kind of seemed like he's like flashy guys, into the girls, wants to make money, but as far as like taking a life, I didn't know if I believed he'd actually do it. But hey, that's the game he's in, and he was the one to do it. So it's funny because the whole season we all felt like once Lamar is gone, most of Meech's problems are over, but now he has even more problems, which go beyond Lamar. So yeah, that happened, and that was kind of crazy. I was also kind of surprised that about Kato's ending as well. Now, a very small part of me, I don't know if any of you can agree, but a very small part of me, very small, had started to kind of like Kato, especially after she came clean with everything that she did. And, she kind of explained why she did it, when she came clean to be Mickey. There was a very small part of me that had started to have some compassion for Kato, and, started to root for her and stuff. But, that's a game that they all chose. And that's why I guess Meech and Terry's parents didn't want them in it, because it's not forgiving. And Kato, in the end, ends up, meeting her demise. Now, just like in Lamar's case, I was surprised that Meech was the one to off Lamar. I was surprised that Mickey was the one that offed Kato. I didn't see that coming. I actually didn't think that it was necessary for them to do. Really they could have just like run her out of town or something like that, but in the end she could have gone to the police, and, I don't know. I kind of wish that Mickey didn't off Kato, because I did start to like her, and I kind of feel like, now with Lamar out the picture, she could really be like kind of loyal to them and stuff like that. But, I guess he didn't want to take those chances on a snake. But, yeah, he really loved that girl. So that scene was kind of messed up. So I was actually really surprised about that. That guy, it was one thing for Meech to off Lamar, but that guy Mickey, he's kind of ruthless. And I said this in previous episodes. I don't know who he's based off of in real life. There are some theories on who he's based off of, but of course I don't know for sure. But I know that the show was loosely based off of the truth, but if any of what B. Mickey has done on the show so far has any fragment of truth to it, meaning like, he ends up killing his first love, then this B. Mickey person is ruthless. Now, when it comes to Lamar and Kato, speaking of loose truths in the show, I know in the show their characters get killed off, but in real life, the individuals that are believed to be Lamar and Kato are still alive. Now, in the descriptions of this video, I am going to put some sources for why I say this. So I think that Lamar and Kato's killing in the show might be one of those like very, very, very loose truths, because the two women at this point that claim to be the real Kato of the show, both of them are alive. And the person that, there are two guys actually that are believed to be Lamar. One of them is alive, one of them is not certain. So I'm sure if that individual had died the way it was depicted in the show, it would be certain that he was deceased, but it's not. So I think that these two scenes might be part of the loose truths. If so, great, because while I'm watching this, I'm like, it's a good show and all this stuff is happening, but like, it's based off of a true story, so I would hate for them to put something in the show that implicates Big Meech even more, considering he's in jail now trying to get out. So yeah, according to my research, these individuals, the real life versions of them, are still alive, but they met their demise in the show. Next we have Charles and Lorraine Flenery. Now, I have a love and dislike for these two characters in the show. I'm not going to say love and hate, because they are based off of two real people, and from the research that I've done, I've learned that their father passed away. God rest his soul. So I'm not going to say it's a love and hate, because ultimately I understand how Charles and Lorraine feel. I'm just not a big fan of how they go about certain things, Like, for example, Charles, the funny thing about him is that, he's supposed to love all of his kids and want to protect them, but there's a certain protection that he has over Terry that he doesn't have over Meech. And it almost seems as though he looks at Meech as like, I don't know, as like the reason why Terry like chose to go down a certain path. It almost seems as though he looks at Meech as like a kidnapper, like someone that like took the good out of his son. And, as we watch like the first part of like this season, that wasn't the case. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I believe that there is some fault in Meech for how Terry ended up? Sure, because one, Meech is the firstborn. He's older than Terry. So naturally, the older sibling is going to have an influence over the younger sibling. However, the younger sibling did want to be a part of it, and he did have a lot of chances to get out of it during this first season. So much so that, Meech kind of wanted to keep Terry out of the mix, didn't want Terry to be like a boss or anything like that, wanted Terry to kind of be on the sideline or whatever. But Terry fought so hard to make himself an equal to Meech. He wanted that life. So it's crazy because like even Lorraine, even Meech's mom tries to tell their dad like, hey, both of them are in this lifestyle. Stop looking at Meech like as if he's the only one in this lifestyle and Terry's not, when both of them are in this thing just as deep. So I find that really interesting about the dad. Now, speaking of Terry, hold on one second. I'm just going to go to the next slide. Speaking of Terry, Terry is viewed by both of his parents as being like the good kid. But the funny thing is that up until we saw Meech kill Lamar, at least from what I'm seeing, Terry was actually more ruthless than Meech. We see Terry like really beat up that guy Slick. in the beginning, he wanted like gunplay involved and everything. Like Terry was with the SHITs. I'm not going to say the cuss word. He's been with it like the whole season, you know? So it's kind of funny how his parents kind of view him with like rose colored glasses when he's just as into this thing as Meech, if not more, you know? So that's why I said, like, last video that I did about this show, sometimes I wonder if Charles and Lorraine had fought for Meech as much as they fought for Terry, would Meech have gone down the same path that he went down? I know, like, in the last gift, I showed a clip where Lorraine is like subtly like blaming like herself or her and Charles for how Meech ended up. The sad reality of parenthood, and I'm saying this as a parent myself, is that when a kid ends up a certain way, sure, we all have our own lots in life, we all have our own decisions. Just because we raise a child a certain way doesn't mean they're going to end up the way that we wanted them to end up. But we do have to add some kind of blame, because if Charles and Lorraine can blame Meech for how Terry ended up, then that means that they can also blame themselves for how Meech ended up. So all the hate they give Meech, they can hate his lifestyle, but all the hate they give him, personally, I think it might be a little bit too much, given they are his parents, you know? Now, with Terry, you know, the funny thing about Terry is that, like, the father's like, oh, you know, we have to save Terry and stuff like that. Terry legit has a connect. Like, legit. You know, he got involved with this big L lady who's rather ruthless. You know, she's worse than Pat. And she hates Meech. And I'm still trying to figure out what she hates so much about him. So far, Meech hasn't done anything to her to make her have such, like, sour, like, feelings towards him. You know, at this point in the show, Meech and Terry are kind of like ghosting Tommy a little bit, and somehow Meech is Tommy. He went from being Ghost to being Tommy. If you watch Power, which you probably do if you watch the show, you'll understand what I mean by that. But anywho, you know, Terry is like heavily involved in that, you know, and then it's like, I don't know, man, like Terry like gets all these keys from this lady, tells the lady that she wants in, and then, you know, I don't know, like the whole thing with Terry is just really confusing. Another thing that's really confusing about Terry is like after Meech killed Lamar, when he went and told when he went and told Terry that he did it, Terry somehow seemed upset about it when really it was Terry's idea in the first place to kill Lamar. You know, Meech wasn't even trying to go down that road. That's what I'm talking about when I say that everybody looks at Terry like as if he's the good one, when really he's been a lot of the brains behind a lot of stuff that's happened so far with Meech and Terry. It's just funny how like he's the brains of it all, but then he has like these morals. You know, like there's nothing wrong with having morals, but then it's just like he's all, oh, let's do this, let's do that, I'm down with this, I'm down with that. But then when it happens, he's all, oh, you're horrible, you're selfish, how could you do this, how could you do that, when it was his idea. You know, I don't know, man. It's the whole dynamic between Terry and Meech is interesting. Now, while I don't agree with the lifestyle they chose, it does make good entertainment, you know, so I do understand why Terry is back and forth. But at this point, it's kind of like he's sending Meech mixed signals. Like Meech, he wants to have a part in that lifestyle. That's what he wants. And according to what he knows about his brother wants it too. But Terry wants it to an extent. He wants to be the boss. When it comes time to do boss stuff, then he doesn't want to do it. You know, he wants to have a certain status and make certain decisions. But then when those decisions are made, then his morals come out. It's like he turns his morals on and off. So I don't know. That fact about Terry's personality is confusing. So next, you know, we have the end of the episode where, you know, Terry decides to go into business with his dad. His dad presented him with this idea. And then at the last minute, he goes, you know, he tells Meech about it. That was messed up, you know, and it's not necessarily messed up because he decided to leave the business, because, hey, who wants to live their life, you know, doing illegal stuff? I know I sure as hell don't, because taking illegal actions is it only leads to only two places. It could lead to jail, and who wants to go there, or to the grave, And then even these two coming from a family who are Christian, one thing that we know is you're not supposed to break the law, right? You're supposed to be a law-abiding citizen. As long as that law doesn't come up between you and your relationship with God, as long as that law does not infringe on you having a relationship with God or require you to do something that's ungodly, you are supposed to be a law-abiding citizen. So I understand why, the whole idea of going into business with his dad was intriguing to Terry, and he wanted to go into it at that time. I get that. But the part that got me a little messed up is that he goes to that lady, Big L. He gets all those keys of drugs from that lady. And the lady asks him, she says, "Do you want this, Terry?" And he goes, "Yes." She says, "Okay, that's what I want to hear." He gets the drugs from her. Now they have to do whatever they have to do with those drugs. And then he just decides to back out, leaving his brother with all of this product that he has to move and work with a connect that legit hates him. In the end, that move that Terry made could have ended up getting Meech killed. Now we know, fast forward years later, we know that Meech is still alive. But I'm just saying, it's stuff like that Terry does that makes me wonder if the whole womb to the tomb thing is something that he really believes in. Because he kind of left his brother out to dry. Really, he could have just not taking whatever. He could have given that lady her money and exited out. He could have been honest and said whatever he needed to say. But he did it in a way that screws his brother over. And that's the part where I'm just like, I don't know about Terry. Yeah, he a little weird. And, that scene where Meech was just like standing there, like yelling at his brother, just kind of like, don't walk away from me, like all that stuff. I don't know why that resonated with me so much. I don't know, man. I just kind of felt bad for Meech in that moment, not bad for their business, because again, even though what they were into makes good entertainment, it was still a very bad lifestyle for them to be into. It's just the way that his brother did it. Messed up. Just really kind of messed up how he did this. So next, and excuse these slides going back and forth. I had some technical difficulties getting this video together, so bear with me. So next, let's talk about Meech. Now, Meech naturally is my favorite, of course, character in the show. I'm sure it's everyone's main character in the show, because most of what we see in the show is based off of his point of view. So naturally that was the intention, to make the viewers like Meech. Yeah, it worked. I like Meech. Do I like his lifestyle? As I said before, no, do not like his lifestyle. He's not innocent. No matter how much we like Meech in the show, he did contribute to a lot of black people that were on drugs, crack and all that stuff. So I don't like the business that he chose to go into, and the part that he played in the demise of so many people, not even just black people, but of course black people, because it really affected the black community. So I don't like that aspect of him. But Meech lived in his truth. He was doing what he wanted to do. But I don't know, man. I could just kind of tell, pretty much watching the show, and basing this on, I guess, the loose truths in the show, that I think that, Meech kind of enjoyed the rush. He enjoyed whatever he got out of, doing something to get him out of poverty and stuff like that. However, I think if there was like an exit plan, or like a lot of work done on his parents' part to help him get out, I think they could have saved him. But in the end, his personality living in his truth, I don't think that Meech is a bad person. However, I don't think that Meech has a lot of friends at this point. The interesting thing about Meech is that, now that his brother has left his business, now he has a connect that hates him. This lady is clearly very wealthy, maybe. She has her business going where she sells drugs, but then she also sells art. I'm assuming she's using her art sales to clean the money that she's making from the drugs. So she's a pretty well-off lady. Has a lot of, I guess, like flesh power. I guess she has like a lot of goons behind her, like that can shoot. So someone with the amount of pull that she has is not someone that Meech necessarily wants to play around with, you know. So if it wasn't for the fact that we know that Meech is still alive, I would have thought that his life was in serious danger after his brother left him to pretty much be at this Lady Big L's mercy, you know. So Meech is kind of, you know, he's kind of moving up, but he doesn't have a lot of people he can trust. He can't trust his connect, who can, you know, but definitely not her because she hates him, you know. And you know, whereas he explained to his brother, you know, that was his connect to figure out, now his brother has left him to figure it out. So I am very interested to see how that works out between him and that Lady Big L. Next you have B Mickey. You know, as far as I saw in the show, Meech never told him that he had to off that girl Kato. That was B Mickey's choice to do that. So the interesting thing about it all is that, you know, B Mickey killed the love of his life and then kind of in his own way blamed Meech for it. Everybody in this show blames Meech. There could be a blizzard that blows buildings down and somehow everybody in Meech's life will blame him for it. Everything is all his fault. It's a very interesting dynamic to see in this show. But back to my original point, Meech at this point doesn't really have any real friends. Terry, as far as the personality that he has in this show, he seems like he does not have Meech's best interest in mind. He blames him for a lot of stuff. He doesn't seem to even like his brother that much, to be really honest with you. And Meech doesn't have his family so far in this show. His dad seems like he despises him. His mom seems like she loves him, but she's drinking the Charles Flenery Kool-Aid and kind of going against him. And now his other right-hand man, B Mickey, is feeling down and is kind of blaming Meech for him making the decision to kill Kato. Now, I could see if Meech was the one that killed Kato, but B Mickey did it, and he really didn't have to, but he's kind of blaming Meech for it. So the part about that that's bad is that, you know, now that officer is looking to pin a whole bunch of charges on B Mickey, and he's pretty much saying, you know, either you take these charges or give me Meech. Considering how B Mickey is currently feeling about Kato, something tells me that he is going to turn into a narc, I guess. He's going to turn into a narc, and he's going to get all this information on Meech. You know, now, when it comes to B Mickey's character in the show, of course, out there in the world, there are a lot of rumors, a lot of assumptions being made about who is who and who did what or whatever. But there is a strong, there is a strong assumption of who B Mickey's character is. And if B Mickey's character is who people have been saying it is, it actually makes sense based off of some of the rumors that are swirling around on the internet. You know, there are some rumors that different people that were in the real, like in Big Meech's group, were narcs. And, you know, and they were rolling with him, doing things with him. And then when it all came down, testified against him and stuff like that. So there are a few different people that rumors are out that happened with. And that they were B Mickey. So considering where B Mickey's mental state is and how he views Meech and, you know, what happened, you know, with the girl and stuff like that, it makes sense to me that in next season, B Mickey is most likely going to be working with that police officer to take Meech down. It'll probably happen over a long span of time, but yeah, B Mickey is certainly going to work with that officer to take down Meech. I can totally see it. So yeah, at this point, Meech doesn't have his brother's loyalty. He doesn't have his parents. He kind of has his mom, but that's tricky. At this point, he doesn't really have B Mickey, because B Mickey is certainly not going to take charges for Meech. B Mickey has too many charges against him. He'll probably never see the light of day again. He's not doing that for Meech, especially since he blames him for Kato. Meech doesn't have a connect. He does have a connect, but she doesn't like him. So I don't know, man. Because of how this episode ended, I'm really excited to see how you know, the next episode goes. Well, how the next season goes, rather. Now, one thing that I liked a lot about how this season ended is that this season ended with a picture of, sorry y'all, with a picture of the older Big Meech. I guess the person that's going to play Meech in the next season. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I'm really sad that season 1 of BMF has ended because I really enjoyed this show. However, God willing, I do look forward to the next season and talking with you guys about it. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification button if you haven't already done so that you'll know when my next videos come out. But in the meantime, you guys, God bless you all in Jesus' name. Stay safe.